Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's BAInsights session. And today we'll be talking about product owner and business analyst collaboration. Once more, I've got a couple of good guests, very good guests, in fact, to talk about that topic. Let's have them introduce themselves. Starting with you, Obi, please.
Hi, my name is Obi. I've been in the digital product space for quite a while, initially as a data analyst, which I did for quite a long time. After that, somewhere along the line, while testing some of my work, I decided to get into software testing. So I became a test analyst for about 2, 3 years. And then along the line, testing started getting a bit automated. I wasn't a fan of development, so I decided to shift careers again. That was when I got into into business analysis. So I've done this about 8 years now, primarily in that same digital product space. And most of my work has been with consultancies across in UK, IBM, Capgemini, North Island, and the rest of them. So I've worked in a variety of different industries, from defense, public sector, insurance, a lot everywhere, So I've seen all flavors of agile in so many different places. So yeah, that's me. At the moment, I'm still doing the same thing, still working in the consultancy, currently working on a public sector project in that same agile delivery space as well.
Okay, brilliant. Thank
And
you,
that's
Obi.
me. Yeah.
And Bhavini.
Hey, hi everyone. So, talking about myself, I've been into the corporate industry now for more than 6 years. I started off with being in the telecommunication industry as a network engineer. There, I have worked for quite a good time, and then my interest shifted towards going into a business analyst role, being very close to my customers, to my stakeholders. That was something which kind of interested me, so I shifted my career into a BA role. I have worked in big four industries for consulting, in the FMCG industry, and currently now I am handling an e-commerce project for making basically building their next gen e-commerce platform, and I am specifically holding the role of product owner to develop their subscription capability. So that's where my role is revolving around. So it's a very I would say a line between a business analyst and a product owner role. So that's where I come in. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, thank you. And thank you both, because what it demonstrates your introductions is that you're excellent people to be talking about this topic and that BA and product owner collaboration. So let's perhaps start by asking you, Obi, in terms of what are the roles of the product owner? What is the role of the product owner versus that of the business analyst, in your view?
Well, obviously, to make it short and simple, the product owner is responsible for maximizing the value of the product. Of course, there are so many different ways to do this, from managing and prioritizing the backlog, from from understanding the user requirements and pain points and pushing it across to the development team, for engaging with the stakeholders and customers, understanding what they need, pulling out features from them, and all the way to planning delivery timelines in some instances. So it's a bit more on a strategic level, so to speak. Meanwhile, for the business analysts, in my opinion, it's more on a tactical level. So we are working a lot more with the development team and participating in the Scrum meetings. We are refining the features we pull out, we derive from the product owner. We are turning them into user stories. We are refining them. We are clarifying issues for the development team. And we're also working with the UX team as well to define those requirements for the developers. Again, there are quite a lot of things that are similar as well. That same engaging with stakeholders and users, both of us do it. But yeah, that's the separation. In as much as from what I've seen in different companies and different projects, that line could be a bit blurry. It could shift a bit more towards the product owner side or towards the BA side. Sometimes there's a lot more collaboration and you find both of yourselves doing a lot of the same things. Like my current project right now, we're doing a lot of things together. You know, most of our meetings, we're always working together. Everybody gets invited to the next person's meeting. So yeah, that's the way I see it.
Would it be fair to say in that example, which are probably more agile methodology examples, that in that case you tend to have a product owner and a BA or a number of BAs, and in that sense, product owner takes those responsibilities for broader delivery, as you mentioned, whereas the BAs are taking on more of a specific detailed role to focus on particular features, requirements, or analysis?
In my current project, it's like that. So the product owner has a lot more features he's looking after, and then the several BAs handling different components of the bigger picture. But then again, it depends. It always changes depending on the company and on the project structure. It's always changing. Sometimes, especially with the bigger companies, if the companies get a bit bigger, that you now see a product manager coming into the picture, you know. And from what I've observed, in most of those cases, you're now left with the product manager and the business analyst.
Yeah. Okay.
Somehow they now do away with the product owner. So,
Bhavini, what would be your view from what you've seen on the role between the BA and the product owner?
I think for me, both of these roles are like there is a very blurry line, right? To understand like what are the responsibilities of a BA and what are the responsibilities of a product owner. I feel that a product owner is someone who knows what a BA do, and he can actually handle both a PO and a BA responsibility, whereas a BA has to learn a little bit more skill sets if he or she wants to be at that level of product owner. If I take an example of myself in my current company, I mean, if you look at my job title, I am a business analyst, but actually what I am doing, my job role is more of a product owner role, because I am handling the product, I'm owning the product, and I'm making certain strategic decisions within the product while building it. So that's where the role of a product owner comes in picture. While being a BA, I am also responsible to bring all those requirements that the market have to our engineering team, let them understand why we need it, what are the business use case of having that requirement, and then build it in an efficient way. So it's like handling both the roles simultaneously for me, and that's the reason why in my opinion it's a very blurry line. A person can actually handle both the roles, it's just that it depends on your skill sets. If you have that capability of taking that strategic decisions, and have that vision and mission of your product, you can be a BA and the product owner at the same time. That doesn't matter.
Okay, yeah, and that definitely resonates, because I think as an individual, you often perform multiple roles at different points, whether it's a BA and a product owner, or a BA and a PM, or even sometimes BAs might do testing, would be another example. And it's obviously, as an individual, you can obtain and maintain many different skills and attributes and areas of expertise. So that makes sense. I think from what I'm hearing and from my experience as well, the maybe the differences between the product owner role and the BA role, while they may fluctuate at different times depending on the situation, very rarely does the BA find themselves at that point, in fact almost never, that they are making decisions on behalf of the business. They are normally bringing proposals, information and data forward so that the business and the stakeholders can make those decisions, whereas the product owner is really mandated by the business to make those decisions from a very product-centric focal point, I would say. I think sometimes a BA role working in that construct as well, assuming the BA isn't the product owner themselves, can either be quite narrow sometimes, or it can be quite broad, because I've worked in scenarios where a BA role is very focused on that single product that the product owner is aligned to. Therefore, invariably, they find themselves working on small features, small components, or relatively small things one at a time. But then I've also worked in situations where the BA might be more aligned to the business, and they're looking at a broader set of solutions. They may be looking at a whole host of business processes or business problems as well. of which one of them or some of them might be resolved by a product that a product owner is working on. So in that situation, you can almost see there's a broader relationship that the BA has, which really probably goes back to the point you both made, in that, you know, it isn't a very it can be quite blurry, I guess, the differentiation between the two, depending on the situation, which makes it more important for the two roles, whether it's one BA or multiple, to contribute, to collaborate really with the product owner. So I think just in that point, I mean, so how do you, I'll start with you first, Bhavini, in terms of any roles that you're starting, new projects or initiatives that you're working on, how do you clarify the rules of engagement or the collaboration or the ways of working between yourself as a BA and the product owner, or yourself as the product owner and the BAs? So you can answer that from whichever perspective you feel most appropriate.
So, I would like to start the answer of this question by saying that it completely depends on what kind of project you are handling and in which organization you are. So, let's just give an example here again of my organization, the current organization. So, when I joined in here, I joined in as a business analyst. The idea that was given to me about my role was more of being within the product team, since it's a product that we are building, right? So being within the product team as well as being within the engineering team. Why? Because you have to be in the product team to understand the business, the needs, the requirements that are coming in, right? You have to note it down. You have to then dig deeper into all those requirements, like why this is coming in, what is the actual need. And then when you are very thorough about all those deeper analysis, you have to reach out to the engineering team, make them understand in a more of a technical way, because they know what will be the business use cases, but for their language the technical language should come in picture, right? So there my role was more aligned. But gradually when I started my involvement more into the project, my PM actually told me that, since this is a very small team, let's keep your role like a product manager or a product owner itself. You own certain features of the product, you take certain decisions, because we feel that now you are capable to take certain decisions on your own, depending on what should be feasible, what should not be feasible. You take those strategic decisions and you own those features, and then you will be responsible from start till the scratch of building those features along with designers and engineers. So for my journey till now, I would say it's very confusing sometimes understanding like what my role is, but it's very challenging and very interesting, because you have a lot of responsibilities on your shoulders. You are looking at a feature from start till scratch, analyzing it in a very deeper way, and then having that discussions with engineers to understand it more into a technical perspective. It's very interesting. So it revolves around all those responsibilities. Now you can definitely segregate these responsibilities of a product owner and a business analyst role, but for me I think it's a whole journey, right? It's not like what your title or your role is. It's like this is the job role that you are doing and you have to perform it, whether you are a BA or a product owner.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what how it happened with me during this journey.
Yeah, and that certainly makes sense, for sure. And really, I mean, that point around making the decisions as well is really quite a key one, isn't it? In terms of really, typically the role of the BA, as we said before, isn't to necessarily make the
Yeah.
decisions. It's to almost line up the data so that those decisions can be made. And it probably makes it quite an interesting role when you're being the product owner as well, having been that BA, or as maybe as a co-role as also a BA. In that,
Yeah.
you certainly wouldn't make decisions with no data. You're still going to be responsible for making decisions off the data, but in that situation, your BA hat, as it were, is dictating that you need to go and really find out do the analysis first to get the information in order to make the decision.
Yeah.
And I wonder, Obi, what would be your perspective on that same question, please?
First of all, to what you guys said, apart from the decision-making aspect, the roles, the tasks involved in both roles are basically the same. If you've done business analysis, you can be a product owner, because it's the same engagement with the stakeholders, engagement with customers, understanding their pains, trying to solve problems for them, engaging with the development team to sort out those problems. In terms of how I approach it, obviously, like you both said, every company, every project is a bit different. Yeah. In my current project right now, we're all aligned to deliver the same thing, to solve the same problems. So we come in, the roles are defined, obviously, but if I see the PO needs help, or if she sees I need help, they step in, or we step into each other's space and sort it out. If I'm at capacity and she has meetings, clarification meetings she needs to do with the stakeholders, I just expand my scope there and go and handle those meetings for her. Sometimes if I've got tickets that need proper further refinement, sometimes she comes in and does those. So it's a bit flexible because we can do a lot of each other's work. So we don't really stick to our own space and stay there. Because that doesn't help anybody really.
No, and that certainly makes sense in that in a similar way than as a product owner, you were to interact with the developers and the rest of the delivery team. If you're working with other BAs, you're going to also be interacting with those BAs as well to figure out the most appropriate way to work as a group. That's for sure. I think just
your camera is really
has decided that
giving you some pain.
But yeah, so I mean I think as far as my way of collaborating with the BAs or the product owner would be is really setting setting those rules of engagement from the start. Really. So what that means is that whether it's one BA or a team of BAs, just making sure that you're collaborating, or so you're kicking off your engagement with agreeing, how you're going to work, how you're going to, are you all going to attend every meeting together? That feels like that's probably not going to be too efficient. Feels like, there'll be certain situations where, as a product owner, you'll want to rely on the BA to be quite autonomous and to go and do their analysis and play it back to you once they've got to a certain point. Whereas in other situations, there might be it might be prudent for the product owner to be a bit closer to the detail. And I think a lot of, particularly on the bigger products that are being delivered, where it isn't conducive to have one individual being on every meeting and understanding everything, that there it would be more important to agree those rules that the BAs are going to go and get into the detail. You're going to feed information back to the product owner. They're going to find out what additional information the product owner needs to make the decisions. And then the product owner is going to, in parallel, going to guide them what additional questions they need to answer as well. And part of that might also be the product owner just sharing their visibility on priorities. What's the upcoming roadmap? What things are likely to be included in later sprints or later releases, so that the BA and the BAT can prepare accordingly as part of their analysis, I would say. Yeah. And I think principally though, it feels like, and certainly as two of you seem to echo this point, is that that it's really important from the start to kick off quite an adaptive and collaborative mentality between all the BAs and all the product owners, as well as the rest of the delivery team as well, so that as a group you can come together and deliver.
Yep.
I wonder, Obi, in terms of yourself, I mean, is there any examples of successful collaborations that you would be able to share in terms of your role either as BA or product owner or both?
I think before the project I worked on before this, there was a part of it that had to do with live service support. So we were like second level incident management, so there were a lot of triage calls, a lot of incidents coming through, while at the same time we were doing another project side by side, working on the website itself, So because of that, we always shared invites to each person's meetings, so that working together, being exposed, giving visibility to what each person was doing at all times was quite helpful. And anytime there was some capacity, any one of us could jump onto the live service issues and manage that with the team. That was, I think that was the one example I can give now of where that collaboration really helped, because if I had been left managing all those live service issues while at the same time doing the normal website work, it would have been a bit tricky for me.
Excellent. Thank you, Obi. And similar for you, Bhavini.
Yeah, so there are many examples, but definitely the recent one that I definitely want to highlight. So, when I joined this company, so I have always been into a service-based company, and now since this is a product-based company, the entire environment, how things work, differs a lot, basically. For me, it was definitely a new environment to cope up with. So it was actually a very small team where I'm working. It's just three people who are handling the whole product. Just if you exclude the team of engineers and all those people, the team of designers, we are just three people who are handling our product as a subscription. So for me, it was very important to first understand like how things work in a product based industries, and then maybe grab a bit onto how I can give my 200% into the product development. So we as a team of three people, we actually I have a product owner with me who, for both of us, it's like the responsibilities are sort of similar, and we both have a PM on top of us. So we, as a people of three, decided to have every week this session which we call PRD discussion. The name itself, it's sort of like PRD discussion. Why PRD? Because for a product team, PRD is a very important stuff. This is something where you are actually writing in all those business requirements that are coming in, and all your analysis that you are going to give to your team of engineers. So having that documentation is really, really important within a product team. Having that documentation in a very effective manner is very important. So we named that group like as a PRD discussion, and in that PRD discussion, we sort of discuss each and everything that is going on, within three of us as a team, and where are we actually struggling, where are we actually need help within our team members. So it's like a discussion group we have where we join every week for 1 hour, and there we actually discuss what is happening, what discussions we had this week with business, what struggles we are being in a product team facing, are there any challenges that are coming from the team of engineers, how can we tackle those, how you need help. So this is a very simple question that we are asked to each one of us, like how can we help, right?
Yeah.
So there you actually you'll be able to understand like what is happening and how you can give your 200% to sort things out. So it's more of a communication which gives you that 100% collaboration that you need between a product owner and a business analyst. So the more you communicate, I feel the more that collaboration gets stronger. Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah, definitely. It's interesting, some of the situations you were outlining there in terms of the documentation. I think you said a PRD, so that'd be like product requirements document, if I'm right?
Exactly.
Yeah, in
Yeah,
that case,
exactly.
not to be confused with a business requirements document from a more
Yeah.
traditional side. So, and I think certainly what it highlights there is that, irrespective of whether you're using a document, whether you're using requirements repository, the key thing is that you're trying to get the information down in a consistent way, in a transparent way, so that you can start to talk about it and no doubt probably evolve that thinking as well. I imagine that certain requirements will be probably more important than others at a certain point because maybe they've been developed earlier than others, so therefore you probably take them to a little bit more detail initially than the others. But at least you're sort of putting them on the page, and then that sort of weekly discussion as well is I guess it's quite similar to what we might have as a retrospective. Although with a retrospective we tend to have the whole team involved, whereas it seems these weekly interactions you're referring to are very focused on the business analysis and the product ownership to make sure that you're working as in tune as much as you can as well, and just
Exactly.
improving yourselves. So no, that makes perfect sense, and it's quite actually aligned to a scenario that I can certainly recount. In that, the best examples of collaboration I've been involved in, either as a product owner or working with product owners, is that you are meeting regularly. In fact, you're both involved in the daily stand-ups. You're both involved in the retrospectives, and importantly, the sprint planning as well. And what that means is that you can build up that trust between the different roles, and you can also, move around as well, because there's certainly times where the product owner, will probably want to take a holiday at some point, and it doesn't make sense to draft a brand new product owner in from the outside. It probably makes sense for one of the business analysts or someone else within the team to take that role on for a bit as well.
Yeah.
And I think if you've got that collaboration going, it's merely then just the case. It's just a different individual acting as that figurehead for certain conversations throughout that time. Yeah. So I certainly appreciate the examples you both gave. And how do you sort of establish effective feedback between the BA, the product owner, and in fact anyone else involved in the analysis at that stage, just to ensure that you're getting the most out of the delivery and the most out of the team that you can? And perhaps we'll start with you on that question, Bhavini.
I think again the same concept comes in picture. When you talk about collaboration, when you talk about feedback, it all comes with communication, right? So the frequency of your communication actually gives you the result that you are looking for, whether it's the collaboration result, whether it's the feedback result, right? So
Yeah.
even if I want feedback for myself, or I want to talk to someone, like even if it is a developer or even if it is my PM or a product owner, if I want to get feedback for myself, or if I want to understand what are their feedbacks regarding how things are going on within the team, it's better to communicate and speak out, right? People sometimes in the teams try to assume things, I have seen, right? They don't communicate upfront and they assume things a lot, and that assumption creates a lot of confusion within teams, right? So
Yeah.
even if you have any sort of struggle that's going on in your work, in your mind, you have any issues with how things are going on within the team, and if you want to basically speak out about, even if my team of developer want to speak out about myself, like, Bhavini, this thing is not going on the way we want it, or maybe we have given some task to you for which you are not giving us reply since 1 week, whatever it is. I mean, it's about me or it's about anyone else. The team should be flexible enough to come to me and give me that feedback, and that comes with the trust and the communication that you do on a daily basis with your team. If you are not communicating properly, so that's why I think in our agile we have a lot of scrum ceremonies, right? You meet with your team in daily stand up, you meet with your team in the review meetings, retro meetings. I think the basic fundamental of this ceremony is because you want to build that trust within your team, and once your team has trust on you, they can actually come to you anytime to communicate anything and discuss anything with you, which is great. I think that gives you that flexibility and that gives you that transparency within the team, which is very important. So for
Oh,
me, having a proper feedback and collaboration definitely comes with that communication and trust. That is really important.
that's it. And you hit loads of really important points there, Bhavini, in terms of having that openness amongst the team, having the trust, and actually, to the point made as well, you encourage anyone in the team, whether it's the BA, the product owner, development team, or otherwise, to be
Yeah.
open with you. If there's things that you can improve, if they don't tell you, then you've got no chance of improving it, of course. But yeah, some
Yeah.
really, really strong points there, mate. And Obi, what would be your perspective as well on that question?
Yeah, for me, I totally agree with what Bhavini said. It's a lot to do with communication and transparency. On my current projects, we have, obviously, you've got the normal sprint ceremonies, which are like feedback loops to review what you've done. We take our retrospectives very serious, although I know a lot of people don't like it, but we take it really, really serious. We always try to come up with throw up all the issues we had and find solutions to try out in the next sprint. So we take those serious. We've got our normal daily catch-up, end of day review with the product team. So all the product team, they get in for a quick 10, sometimes 5-minute catch-up update at the end of every day, say what they've been doing, if there are any specific blockers. This is different from the stand-ups we have every morning, of course. Then we have everything is up there on Confluence, on Jira, everything you're working on, the current status. We always try to make everything as visible as possible. So it helps build that trust. Nobody's hiding information from anybody. Everybody knows exactly what's going on. And if anybody's struggling, you just call it out there. We try to promote that, the idea that mistakes are opportunities for growth. So we actually have a place where we document things we learned from mistakes people made, so we don't frown on people's mistakes, you do that, we learn from it, and everything is so transparent. And I'll be honest, I'm in a particularly good team. It's not always, it hasn't been this great all the while, but the current team, everybody's encouraged to, to collaborate, to be transparent, and to learn and grow on a constant basis.
Yeah, and everything you're saying there, Obi, is totally resonating. And I think it's resonating because I've seen situations where maybe the team are not as collaborating as well as they could do, and often the reason for that is not because they don't want to, it's because there's not been the benefit of collaboration. So I think some of the things that you both outlined, whether it's the formal ceremonies and retrospectives or those informal channels that they use, if the team are asking you for improvements or there's things that they want a little different, if you're not taking that into account and actually they're not seeing a result of their conversation and their collaboration, then why would they bother? So I think a very important thing, as well as what you've outlined in terms of making yourself available, being transparent, building on those regular ceremonies, and then adding to that the informal interaction that you need, is then actually making yourself accountable for actually making the changes, whether they're small or big, but those are in your control. And all of that, of course, adds up to the trust, which then sort of sends this round in a big perpetuating circle, so that we start to build on it. And with that, and hopefully the team develops from a decent one to a very good one. Yeah. And I think for me, that's very much. No other points to add, really. I think it was really, really pleasing to hear Bhavini talk about those informal interactions as well, because you do need the development team or the other BAs or the product owner to be able and comfortable to just turn around if you're in the office, or to ping you on Teams or pick the phone up and say, I've got a question, however simple it might be or difficult, and know that whether or not you've got the answer, you'll at least give them the time to try and figure it out. Yeah.
True.
And so I guess the next question is really, are there any techniques or approaches that you particularly employ to foster and improve that collaboration between anything we've said? And I say that collaboration between, I guess, the BA and the product owner, but you could talk more broadly if appropriate. We'll start with Obi, perhaps.
Okay. To me, I think it's all about building that trust. There's so many ways to go about it. For some people, it's the activities you do. We've got out of office activities. We catch up for drinks at the end of the evening. We sometimes on Fridays play online games with the whole team. We have our normal one-on-one sessions where you not just talk about work, you talk about a bit about your personal lives as much as you want to talk about, But if you have that relationship, it helps everything work better, And another thing is it's a bit tricky if you're in a consultancy where you're not really okay, let's scrap that. So basically it's just about building that trust, organically. There's no hard and fast rule. Everybody's different, and the way they grow that trust, So that's how it is for me on this my current. That's how it's been for me over the past few years.
Yeah, I think that's a really strong point to make there, Obi. And And I really like the way that you talk about some of those other activities that you can do to build that trust, because you're working with people for a long while sometimes on product deliveries. It's better if you get to know the individuals and how they work, what they prefer, or what they like to do outside, or if they've got commitments, that mean they have to get up off their desk at 5:30 every day because they need to be doing something else. It all helps understand the person and understand how to collaborate and work better with them. I think you make a really good point there too, there for sure. Bhavini, what would be your view on if there's any further techniques, I would say, or approaches?
No such techniques, John, to be honest, because I'm not a very big fan of putting up techniques when things can grow organically and flexibly. But definitely, I feel that because I mean, post COVID, that the touch that you have, the personal touch and the one-to-one connection that you have with your colleagues is missing somewhere. And that is a very important factor for having that strong collaboration and trust and communication, whatever we speak about. Um, Being in my team, which is like scattered all over the globe, like few people are here, few people are in some other countries, so we don't get that exposure quite often where we are meeting in person. But definitely, being in this team, we make sure that at least every year we have this sort of workshop for 1 week or at least 4 days, twice a year, where we are actually going at one place, either any country where we have our team, and we are meeting everyone in person. We are understanding how things are going on for them, how things are going on with us, sharing our work, and not just work, everything else. Like, so this workshop concept is something we have brought in within our team, twice or thrice a year. We try to do that. It's very difficult when your team is really scattered, but it is very important as well. And I think now, since the hybrid work is starting in every organization, even though your whole team is like around the globe, but at least few people that are there in your same location, you get to meet those people, whether it's not your team, but even if it is other team, you just sit with them, understand their concept somewhere. That cross functional collaboration is also very important, not just within your team. So that is something which we have started from this year. So yeah, this is something I think we are doing, and we hope that we do it going ahead in this project. Yeah, so yeah.
And I mean, they're really important points about that the fact that a lot of teams that we work with, product teams in particular, that they're not all sat in the same location, and even if they all work in the same location, sometimes they're working
Yeah,
from home as well. So it's
yeah,
there's a need for each individual in the team, whether it's the BA, the product owner, or otherwise, to make
yeah,
sure that they're doing more when in that remote environment, to ensure the same sort of activities that you would do if your team were working very closely together. And I think in terms of that, it certainly doesn't hurt to pick up the phone to your colleagues and just ask them, irrespective of the work,
yeah,
how's it actually going? How are you doing? What's your weekend like? To start building up that relationship in a slightly different way than perhaps you'd be fortunate to do if people were in
yeah,
person, I would say. Yeah,
yeah,
that all makes perfect sense. I think it also makes me think as well, as you were talking, Vini, about the fact that some BAs or some product owners, they're working, part of a very small product team. It may be there's no other BAs in the area at all. So for them, perhaps in the organisation they find themselves in, there might be a BA community that exists, so they could possibly leverage that as well to have more of a belonging and to try and learn from others, and that might be a good
mm,
opportunity. And
yeah,
perhaps sometimes if there's no formal community, just knowing that there are other BAs on the floor, albeit on other projects, it certainly doesn't
yeah,
hurt to go over and introduce yourself and say hello, and or pick the phone up to them and say hello, and maybe offer to share a few things that you've been doing, and then from that they might share a few things that they've been doing as well, and that collaboration kicks on from there. Really.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think,
I think Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry,
That's
further to your point. Yeah, I think all those groups are very important. I think I'm lucky where I'm working at the moment because we've got BA groups, then we've got product groups, which includes the BAs, the product managers, the product owners. We've got user-centered design group for people that are interested in that customer end of the discovery and all that stuff. So there are a variety of different groups where you can all come together and work together, learn from each other and grow with each other, you know. And I think I found it very, 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 very helpful.
And I think from what you've said and what you both said during the session, what's very evident is that there has to be that collaboration between the BA and the product owner. The responsibility for making sure that collaboration happens is with both parties, with both groups. It should happen through the formal ceremonies and meetings, but it should also happen informally as well.
Formally, yeah.
It's not just about the working relationship. It's also about the personal side of life as well, and to kind of understand the people, figure out how they work so that you can step in and help if you need to as well. It's about being open and transparent and cooperative and open to feedback yourself. So covering loads of, I think, really important things there from a collaboration and interaction perspective. But I wondered, and sorry to put you both on the spot, but are there any additional points, starting with you, Bhavini, that you might want to share before we close on BA and product owner collaboration?
I think definitely the last point that I really want to, get to know that actually I want everyone others to know that when you talk about collaboration, it's like a synonym of communication for me, right? So more and more collaboration happens when you expose yourself out within your team, right? You speak out, you communicate with them. So it's not only between a product owner and a business analyst, it's like between the whole, within your whole team. So it can only come when you have that urge to speak out anything and everything within your team, right? And that equals to the trust building part, that equals to the collaboration that you're looking for. So definitely, like, it's not only within product owner and business analyst, you have to have that good collaboration with all the team members. That's very, very important to keep everyone on the same page throughout
I
the
would
journey.
agree. Yeah, you make a perfect point there, and it isn't just about all these things you've referred to and Obi's referred to in the last 40 minutes or so have been as personal to any team, not just the product team as well, I would say. Obi, any final points from you might want to
add? Can I ask a question instead?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, we're out of questions, so you can certainly ask one.
This is just something I just started thinking about a few minutes ago. Do you think, this is to both of you really, do you think, considering the similarities between these two roles, yeah, do you think in the product space, in the agile space, that one of them in future might disappear? Because more and more I'm seeing, I've never seen, I don't think I've come across a project where we have all three.
When you say all three, so you mean
true.
product owner, BA, and what's the other role you see?
It's either a product manager and a BA or a product owner and a BA.
Okay.
So it seems as if that role between the BA and product owner is kind of looking as if it's going to merge at some point in future. Is that what you think?
That's actually true. That's actually true because if you have already, if you have that skill set of a business analyst, right, and when you are looking to upskilling yourself, definitely the journey beyond a BA is a product owner role or a PM role, whatever it is. So definitely, if you have already that skill set of a BA and if you are on that edge of upskilling yourself, a company would definitely look for a product owner. Like, why going for both these roles? A product owner can definitely do the work of a BA and a PO for sure. So this is a very valid question, I would say. And yeah, I mean, we can see what is going to happen in the future, but yeah, this is one of the probability we can take.
I mean, I guess what I would say, every scenario and every situation is a little different. I think maybe if there's a situation where you've got a very small team and you've got there's a decision to be made between do you have a BA and do you have a product owner. Actually, maybe you don't need to make that decision. You just need to find an individual who can do both those activities. I think it's more about the person in that situation and the need to do both roles. There's no good having someone that can make decisions but can't do the analysis. So a product owner that can only make decisions but can't do the analysis, they're never going to be able to take over the responsibilities of the BA. And the flip side is if you've got a BA that can do all the analysis and line up all the evidence to make a decision, but not make a decision, then that's not going to be helpful to them either. And maybe in that situation, it isn't just about them having the skill set to make a decision. They also need, of course, to have the authority to make that decision where there's an absence of a product owner. I think then when you talk about the project manager coming into that mix as well, I think that can add an interesting dynamic in terms of, I think from a true agile perspective, maybe there's a good argument to say, there is a good argument to say you don't need a project manager per se. But when you're talking about a number of different products being delivered across for one larger project or one larger initiative, then certainly the project manager skill set is going to be useful across the different products that are being delivered. And probably by having a project manager skill set in that environment, albeit working in an agile way, maybe that's going to alleviate some of the time from the BAs so that they can focus on the analysis, or so that the product owner can focus on the decision making without some of the more planning burden that might come in. But certainly what I've seen is that loads of those situations where product owner and BAs work in perfect harmony together. Loads of situations, of course, with BAs and project managers work in harmony. And also, I'm glad to say a few examples of PMs and POs working together, and that was quite harmonious as well. I think it probably all goes back to the points we've been talking about. That it's down to the individuals to come together, make sure they can find an approach that's collaborative and effective, and that each person's going to have the chance and the opportunity and got the skill set to deliver value. Yeah, interesting question.
Makes sense.
All right, but brilliant. Yeah, so we'll end it there on an excellent question from Obi. But thank you both for your time. Thank you for your insights, and thank you for the question at the end there, Obi, as well. All right. Yeah. So thank you.
All right. Thank you.
John. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us. All right. Take care. Bye.